Hello, and welcome to the Frivolous and Frugal Knitting Podcast. We are two sisters who share our fondness for knitting, the things that we create, and our love for the knitting community. And we do it all with a little twist of both the frivolous and the frugal. I am Frivolous Dawn, and in our family's birth order, I am the fourth of 8 children.
And I am Frugal Miss Penny, and I am the oldest of the 8 children. And we have another sister who helps us quite a bit in this podcast, and that is Faithful Nikki, and she is third in the birth order. We just want to give a shout out to all our returning viewers. We're so grateful that you've come back to be with us today. And we're hoping, as always, that after each episode, you can take home a nugget or two, not only from our adventures and victories, but from our failures as well. And for those of you who are watching for the first time, we want to give you a heartfelt thank you for devoting some of your viewing time to Frivolous and Frugal. And likewise, we're hoping that as we share about our Fiverr adventures, that you have an opportunity to glean a nugget or two from those as well. So without further ado, grab your knitting, your favorite note-taking device, and a sense of humor, regardless of the time of day you're watching this, and join us for episode 55 of Frivolous and Frugal. Take it away, Dawn.
Whatever time you're watching this, yes.
Yeah.
I guess we never think of that, do we? Since we record in the morning, we think everybody's watching in the morning.
That's right. So true.
Well,
hey, what's around your neck?
not a
Nothing.
thing. So, wow, a knitting podcast with no knitting. This should be fun. What's around your neck? Thank you for following the rules.
Oh, hey, you're welcome. And by the way, you are welcome to borrow this because it would go very nicely with your blouse. I am wearing the Sheboygan Shawl by Joanne Kiley. And I knit this in Cascade sock yarn in black and white colorways because it just kind of tends to go with everything. On a size 6, I have to tell you, both the fiber and the pattern get $1 on the Frugalometer. Because that Miss Joanne sure knows how to create a bargain for her customers. So that's what I'm wearing.
Yeah,
and that's what Dawn wishes she was wearing right now.
Now, I did do one of those in purples, but I must have gave it away.
Oh, you might have. Did it accidentally get in the gift box?
Well, I don't know, but I look at yours and think, oh, there's one more thing I need to knit again. Add that to the list.
Oh, yeah, your list. I can't even imagine your list. But anyway,
look.
What's little Miss Ruby wearing?
Well, this was the shawl I thought I had on last week.
Oh.
So this is Suburban wrap. It is by Joji Locatelli. And the reason I mentioned it last week is I did 2 shawls, similar shapes, similar colors, but different yarns. So this is Backyard Orchard. It was a kit I bought at Stitches Midwest. Orchard is their name of their base. And the green is called Hosta. I don't know if you can see, this is kind of speckled.
Yes.
Can you see that? Good. And that is called Springtime. And then the gray, almost blue is called Storm Cloud. Now, if it looks longer than the traditional Suburban wrap, you're absolutely right. I knit it first, bound it off, wore it for about a year, and decided I didn't like the length. I wanted more length. So I'd given you the extra yarn, so I had to call you and ask you to send it back. What kind of a sister does that? And I can't remember. I cut it like maybe about right here at the stripes, and then added that section. So between stripes, and bound off again. So it wasn't where I could cut it and then try to reconnect it. I just cut it and then reuse that yarn. Now, when I bought that kit, I wasn't paying much attention. It was 150 gram skeins. So I still have probably enough to do maybe a hat or for some fingerless gloves. But something like that. Otherwise, it goes great in the little bits and bobs. So, okay, so let's see if I can do this. Here's the one I had last week. It didn't go very far. So
Oh, darn.
similar, right? Similar colors. So no wonder I thought I grabbed the wrong one. But
Well, yes.
yeah, I really like this pattern. And I did it on a US 6. I would say the pattern's probably a 2 on the Frugalometer, and it's an indie dyed yarn. So I'm going to guess I'd give it a 3. Again,
Mhm.
I bought it as a kit. And if I would write down things like how much I paid for the kit, I could probably figure that out. But if it was 150 gram skeins, in my mind, I was probably thinking 100 grams.
Mhm.
Yeah, gosh, but that would be a little busy to wear with this top.
Yes, it would.
That's called cover your behind.
To make it look like it wasn't something you forgot. I get it. I get it. Um,
Ah.
would you say those 2 shawls are suitable for our beginning knitters?
I would say Suburban wrap a little more so. The only reason I say that is Goldfish Memory has quite a few different textured patterns. Some of them lace, some of them cable, and I think 1 or 2 had a combination of lace and cables. So maybe a confident new knitter for
Okay.
that one. But I think this is well written. I like working fingering weight yarn on a 6 because it creates some drape.
Mhm.
And if I had to feel this yarn, maybe there's a tad of silk in there.
Oh, imagine that, you buying silk.
Yeah, and this is, parts of this just repeats itself. So I think
Mhm.
that would be kind of nice for a new knitter, although a big project. And I never know with new knitters how big is too big. An example, I'm doing a class right now at Silver Thimble in Green Bay for the 3-color cashmere cowl, another pattern by Locatelli. These are the ladies that just finished my beginning knitting class. So it's perfect for them. It's not an overwhelming project. It's well written. It's teaching them to knit in the round. It's teaching them to do color change. So that to me was a little more doable for a new knitter. I don't know.
Absolutely.
I don't know if, yeah, you bring up a good question. I'd have to think about it. Of the 2 shawls I showed, this is definitely the one I would recommend for an adventurous beginner. But
Well, and if you're a brand new beginner, the Sheboygan shawl is
oh
a
yeah,
wonderful choice. It is very simple, knit and purl with a yarn over here and there. So it would be very good if you've not yet done our yarn overs or increases. This would be the shawl to do it on.
when you lifted that up and you see that center spine,
Oh gosh, I thought you were going to talk about my chicken neck when you lifted that up. Like, oh God, don't do that on the podcast.
can we do a little tuck right here? Um,
Uh-huh.
I think that is great for a new knitter because it helps them know they're on track.
Yes.
Yep. And it would be the mesh at the bottom that would be a challenge, but that would be a great time for a challenge after they've done the rest of the shawl. Yeah, that's a win-win right there. Okay, if you
Ta-da.
could you bring that to the Magpie retreat and accidentally forget it on a table?
I can.
No.
I can, or in a suitcase or in a bag of other things. Listen, I want to know what you are knitting on over there.
Oh,
What have you got going?
well, I was working on this. Hold on, I'm going to bend over, hopefully not give you a full exposure. Um, I'm doing the Pioneer Gloves by Kelly McClure. And I showed this a couple of episodes ago. So this is the first one. I did the extra long version, and I'm just doing the last of the increases for the thumb gusset, but I think it shows up really well. This is the first time I have done a pattern that included the ribbing design as part of the gusset. And if
Very sharp looking.
I really like it now, this yarn, not so sharp looking. I have no idea what it is. It feels Madeline Tosh kind of to me. It's a high twist. It's a horrible color. Um, it
Some
looks
people may like brown.
well. It has nothing to do with brown. This is horrible. It reminds me of baby diarrhea or something. I don't know.
I'm sorry. We should have put a disclosure at the beginning and opening comments. Go
Um,
ahead.
If you do the short version of this, you can get a pair of these with the 50-gram mini skein.
Ooh, how
Yeah.
nice.
So a free pattern on Ravelry, so that gives it a 1 on the Frugalometer. I don't know how to give a horrible colorway something on the Frugalometer. I would give it a, if it's Madeline Tosh, probably a 2 or a 3.
The truly frugal knitters probably really don't care much about color. Color is relative. If we're getting a good bargain, that's all that matters to us.
Yeah. So
Or
when
I shall speak for myself.
well-written pattern. Now, there's where you can really see that thumb gusset.
Oh, I like it.
And so obviously a different pattern left to right so that you can get that to go, but that is long, isn't it?
It is long.
It even hides my Fitbit. So
Oh, how nice.
yeah, I like it. So I think I don't know if I said it's on a US2 and I'm using the magic loop method.
Oh, got it.
What are you working on?
I am monogamous, you know, this is part of my experiment. So I am almost at the place on my wingspan where I tinked back about 6 inches. So I am getting back to that point, and just trying to work at it. I'd like to get it done sometime before the millennium. And that way I can move on to a different project because by golly, this is an experiment and I'm not giving it up easy. I am going to work through this thing. So that's what I'm working on. It is a pattern written by Kyle Vey, and it is in blue brick Manitoulin merino sparkly woolly mammoth base in the ibis colorway. By the way, I really like the colors. And you all know it's a gift for my daughter-in-law. So of course I will persevere. And I'm knitting it on a size 6 and on the Frugalometer 4s for both the pattern, maybe even a 5 for the yarn. And I'll probably have more details about that in my project page.
Yeah, no, I was glad to
That's
see
it.
on YouTube somebody said they did it as well.
Yes. That's
And
one person I know. There are not many projects on Ravelry for this particular shawl or wrap.
it is very eye-catching.
It is. Anything else on your needles?
Why, yes, there
Polygamous?
is. I am polygamist. Okay. In the spirit of loving my sister, I did what you suggested.
Oh, yes, the knee-high nylons.
So look at lovely. Yes, and I had another name for them, which I suppose I shouldn't say again. Okay, so there they are.
You'll have to watch episode 54 to get that.
And I found these in the box where I had dryer balls, the stuff to make dryer balls. So,
Oh, Dawn.
yep.
Don't you
So
feel good about being frugal at the moment?
no,
Okay.
no.
Just thought I'd ask.
Because look, it looks like a little pigtail at the bottom.
It does. I like it.
So it does help when these go flying off the, table that they stay together.
Yes.
So I am using these for the Baccalieu. Ooh, saltwater mittens. Here you go. Look at that, girlfriend.
Oh, you finished it?
Well, I finished one.
Oh,
So
Dawn.
the yarn is Briggs and Little Regal. That's a light worsted weight. I love their colors. The red's called red, the white's called white, and the gray's called dark gray. It's amazing.
That's good for people like me.
And Miss Jen, who's kind of our moderator with these, or our teacher, could explain to you one of the hallmarks or identifiers for saltwater mittens is this gusset line that you're catching in red for me. Now, I think it's supposed to be straight. Yep. Yep. Now,
Unless
again,
you told us, yeah.
they look huge. They fit good on. The only thing I'm going to try to do on the second one is when you're done with the cuff, you do an increase row to start the glove, and that's where it's a little loose. Now, I haven't washed it. This is just a steam block. So I've started the second one, and I just finished the cuff last night. And the other thing, and somebody on our SaltwaterMittensKAL mentioned this, her second one is tighter than her first. And if you do a comparison with mine, mine's about 1/4 inch too. This one is just a tad tighter. So
Oh,
maybe that's just because we're relaxing a little bit. We're not doing it for the first time. We're not as tight. Bless her. I think it's Sue. She's ripping out the first one and redoing it. Yep.
really?
I don't know if I would do that. I would call it a learning curve. Now, because I love these, I don't know, maybe another 10 skeins showed up at my house this week for some
So
different color.
what would one do with 30 skeins of the same
Well,
type of yarn in different
it's
color?
probably only 15. Come on, let's not exaggerate. So
Far be it
saltwater,
from
yep,
me.
saltwater mitten books. I had it spiral bound, and I want to show you the I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. I'm pretty sure it's Baccalieu. Baccalieu. Yeah, I don't know how you would pronounce that.
Baccalieu.
Baccalieu.
I think it has a French derivation.
And there is no pattern on that page. And there's an example if you do the mittens.
Oh, look.
So I may try full mittens next time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and again, if you want a little inspiration, I bet there's 10, maybe 12 people knitting them all in different colors. Some of them have picked different patterns in here. Every one of them is stunning. Now, because this is worsted weight, it's knit on a US 6 and it works up fast because it's worsted. So
How would you rate it for color work based on knitting experience? Advanced color work?
no,
Beginning color
yeah,
work?
beginning.
Okay.
2 colors is all usually in each row. And because it's a sticky or a woolly wool, your
Uh-huh.
stitches don't move. So that
Oh,
is really nice. Yeah, and I can't wait the next time Miss Brianna's on, she'll probably show hers as well. She's working on a pair. She picked a different pattern than I did. So, all right. Anything else on your needles, Miss Monogamous?
no. What else is on your needles?
What's your mannequin wearing? Did we figure this
Well,
out?
it's off my needles.
Okay. That's right. If it's on your mannequin, it's off your needles. I only have one more, and this will be new.
Oh, come
Why
on,
is
Dawn.
everything falling off the table today? Are we having an earthquake here in Green Bay?
Well, maybe.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
Doo, 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 doo.
Look at you. What
So
are you knitting now?
this is Shifts by Andrea Mowry.
Look at you.
Now I'm taking the class at Silver Thimble. All the other ladies followed directions. It's amazing. The shop model was done using 3 colors of a Zauberball. And you know, Zauberballs change color constantly. So even though you have
Right.
3 different skeins, the color is just amazing. So one day, just being chatty, we said, I wonder what this would look like in solids. So I'm trying it.
Ooh.
Very geometric, very busy. I don't know. Mine is so geometric that if you make a mistake, it'll be obvious. I'm looking quick to see if I see any.
I don't see any right now. So do me a favor, Dawn, and scrunch it up. Maybe when you get it around your neck, the geometric shapes won't be quite as busy.
Yeah. So we'll
Because
see.
it's a towel, right?
Yeah. And US size 5. And the yarn I'm using is all Madeline Tosh Merino Light. And it's a singles yarn. So because it has no plies to it, I'm hoping it blooms. Now, I've seen this, you know, it's also available as a shawl. I think
Okay.
it's got a different shift name when it's the shawl. But when we saw the 3-ply ladies, Angie was wearing one and she did it all in tones of blue and it was spectacular. So
Ah.
yeah, and I did buy the Zauberballs for Brianna, so we'll see what hers looks like. I'm liking this, but I'm thinking if you did the Zauberball, you have a lot more forgiveness
That's
because
true.
who would know if you were off? Maybe that's not important. Eventually, the pink and the black will go together for a section, but I'm just doing these repeat sections now of pink and white, black and white, pink and white, black and white. I'm on section 4 of 7 sections. So I would hope this can be done in a couple of weeks. Because Miss Melanie Berg came out with a new shawl pattern this week.
I saw it. Very different from her previous patterns.
Yes, and I may have purchased some yarn. Yeah, I did.
Oh,
Yeah.
purchase some yarn and perhaps maybe a ticket.
Oh yes, that's next week. I'll be sure to report back after doing a Zoom session with her. So that is all. There's a couple of other things on my needles that just haven't shown much love lately. I'm still doing tenacity.
Right.
And the blanket for our niece or grandniece, what would she be?
Our niece's daughter.
Our niece's, our nephew's daughter.
It's for Miss Megan's baby.
No, it's for Matt's granddaughter, Ann Lee.
Oh, my goodness, I'm a blanket behind. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I tore out Megan's blanket because that was horrible. Yeah, so anyway, those continue to get just a little bit of love. So there's no sense in me showing them if they look the same as they did in the previous podcast.
I resemble that remark.
So what's off your needles?
Hey, thought you'd never ask. This is number 3 alliteration scarf. As you all know, I am using that pattern for all my bits and bobs and stash. Well, not just my bits and bobs. Someone else is sending me bits and bobs. And this one I did all in grays, blues, and black. What I did differently for those of you who are playing around with this pattern is I did not put the cuff on this. And as you know, last week I tore out over 12 inches and added some different colors because the other colors weren't jiving. And that was easy enough because it was a provisional cast on. I intentionally made 2 changes. One was provisional cast on so that I could come back and Kitchener the bottom. So if Opal happens to take a flying leap off of the table, don't worry, she'll bounce. So you can't really see it, but it is a it is Kitchener stitched closed at the bottom. So it is not open. The others have a cuff, which makes it a long tube. So the first thing I would advise people, if you're going to do the provisional cast on, just before you finish this cowl, turn it inside out and tuck in. Why are you laughing?
I know where this is going. Yeah.
All of your ends, because someone last night had Kitchenered one end and realized she didn't tuck those final ends in. But because the other end was still open, I just turned it inside out and did that. This was a cast on of 96. The pattern calls for 100. My next cast on is going to be 92 because I have a little bit of a variation that I would like to do for that one. So as always, it was knit on a size 3 with my fingering weight yarn, and it gets a single $sign on the Frugalometer for the fiber as well as the pattern. So this one is finished and I will cast on a new one. And in some ways I'm speaking out of both sides of my mouth because I am knitting monogamously, but this is the only item that goes with me to meetings and appointments because I don't have to think. I can just knit. I'm knitting in the round. And so we've had quite a few appointments lately, and that's how I was able to finish it.
What do you think that length is in that?
Well, being as normal and average as I am, this is 3 feet. This is 6 feet.
Oh, wow.
That's about 8 feet.
Love it.
Yeah. So someone who is very good at math, that would not be me, would know that that's got a nice bit of length to it. Okay, so that's what's off my needles. Since you have nothing off your needles, I have something very spontaneous to share with you and our viewers. So most of you know I am extremely frugal and for a variety of reasons, but I happened to be at the grocery store and they had some clothing on sale. And so, of course, if I'm going to get milk and eggs, why wouldn't I buy a blouse, right? So I bought this blouse, and the only reason I'm showing you this is because this company gets a shout out from me. This was the tag on the blouse, marked down like 80%. Do you know what was holding this tag to my blouse?
One closing stitch marker.
A closing stitch marker. I tell you what, I'm going to look on that sale rack every week for this brand just so I can get two for the price of one. I can get a new blouse as well as a closing stitch marker. What more could a girl ask for to make her week?
That is amazing. That is no different than buying enough yarn to get free shipping.
Ooh, yeah, touche.
No, yours is a much better deal. I did not know that other people use those marker or those.
I literally almost squealed. I came
Yeah.
out and showed my husband right away. Look what is attaching this tag to this blouse.
And he's
Okay.
like, what? Yes.
And if I ever wear that blouse, I'll show it to you. You know what? I do think we probably should go over some of the housekeeping items for
Yeah, let's do
Frivolous
that.
Frugal.
Let's do
You
it.
mind?
Nope.
All right. As you know, nothing to give away for the 2,000 subscribers yet because we're not there. But we're so thankful for those of you who subscribed last week. You're helping us inch our way there. We do have a giveaway this week that we drew from that wonderful thread in YouTube where we ask the question, what is your favorite weight of yarn to work with and why? And are you ready? Our random number generator selected Miss Susie Parks from Las Vegas. And she loves fingering weight because it is always hot in Las Vegas. So thank you, Miss Susie, so much for participating. Please email or message Dawn and she will get your gift out to you. Now, lest you think I don't mail gifts, next week, oh, yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
Are we going to send her fingering weight yarn?
You know, we're pretty sharp. Yes, we are, Miss Susie. Unfortunately, in our little giveaways, we don't give you a choice of colors and or brand, but you're going to get some fingering weight yarn. And next week, we are going to have not quite a plethora of giveaways, but we're going to have several. So during episode 56, we are going to announce a giveaway from the Frivolous and Frugal Hat Cal, the Frivolous and Frugal Ornament Cal, the Frivolous and Frugal Saltwater Mittens Cal, and then it's going to also be the scheduled giveaway from Finish Fix Flipper Frogget Cal. So 4 giveaways next week. And I will be sure to take some of those gifts, Dawn, so that our viewers have an idea of what frugal means. Okay. So anyway, please participate and post.
I think they'll be surprised when you send them an envelope with your information scribbled out and theirs written on to reuse the envelope.
Well, I almost, and this is the honest truth, grabbed a bag to ship one of our other gifts where I'd marked out the writing on the Ziploc. Because I do ship in Ziploc bags, okay? For the record, why wouldn't I? Reuse them when you get them. Okay, so anyway, that's what's happening. So please participate in our threads on Ravelry and our knit-alongs, because I think it makes it kind of fun when you can chat amongst people knitting similar items and get ideas and inspiration. And thank you for all of you who have been participating. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then I have just a couple of honorable mentions. One is Miss Misty was very gracious and sent a pattern to me this past week. And I just want to thank you, darling. I did it in an email, but thank you for being so thoughtful and gracious. And then I wanted to mention Miss Susan Narrell. She's Nurse Narrell on Ravelry because she is the one who gave us an idea for our April Hat Cal. And Miss Susan, you have been from the beginning a very faithful supporter and encourager, and we can't thank you enough, darling. You have no idea. But having said that, let me tell you what that pattern is going to be. So if you would like to knit along with us in April, the hat pattern is the Granger, Granger, Toque, Toque by Jenny Noto. You can find that pattern on Ravelry. And if you're participating in our ornament cal, our April ornament, we decided to start giving you 2 options. For those of you who only want to knit round ornament balls, we give you a pattern for that. For those of you who want to stretch and make different shapes of ornaments, we gave you a pattern for that. So for those of you who want to knit the balls, it's Deck the Balls with Aran. So you're going to be using Aran weight wool, and those patterns are by Kelly Jensen, once again, available on Ravelry. And if you want to venture and try something different, we're going to be knitting miniature Christmas stockings by Amanda Berry, and Berry is spelled Barry. So jump into that thread. If you have a couple of minutes to devote to that, you're welcome to join the cal. So I know this is a lot of housekeeping, but we have a lot going on here at Frivolous and Frugal. So Dawn, if I miss anything, jump in and call me out. The next thing I wanted to share with you is that April is going to look a bit different for Frivolous and Frugal. We are going to be posting an episode. As of today, we have our April 3rd, episode 55. We will have episode 56, which will be April 10th. And then on episode 57 will be April 17th. Now, there will be no episode on April 24th because the Frivolous and Frugal gals are going to go get our cups filled and our hearts warmed by attending the Magpie Cottage's knitting retreat. So we will not podcast that weekend. Consequently, there will be no April knit together in the morning. Typically, we knit together and have a virtual event on the 4th Saturday of the month. We will not have that in April, but we will resume in May. Now, we are still having the April 10th virtual knit night, which will be a wonderful time. And those of you who have attended, we're so grateful that you keep coming back. But if you've never attended a virtual event, please just think about giving us a try. We use the platform Zoom, and essentially it is 2 hours of nothing but knitting. We talk about nothing else. We invite all of the participants to share what's on or off their needles. And if you don't feel comfortable doing that, no problem. You don't have to. We don't force you. In our family, we use the phrase participate. Choose your own participation. We don't care how you participate. Some just sit and listen all night long. Also, we open that link up about an hour before the event begins. So if you have technical difficulties, we can walk you through it. Or if we have technical difficulties, we can work ourselves out of that. The link is posted in a Ravelry thread. And if you are not on Ravelry, all you have to do is email me and I will add you to the email list. And again, that link will arrive about an hour before the event begins. It is from 7 to 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. And we're hoping, just hoping that we may have a surprise for you. So you're just gonna have to wait with bated breath to find out if that works. And here we go. We are stepping out on a very thin branch. We are in the midst of seeing if a Chicago mini meetup for Frivolous and Frugal is going to be a go. So Dawn has done oodles of work to identify a hotel that has a conference room. So we've got that in place. But what we don't know is if you're even interested. So for those of you who haven't heard us talk about this before, a mini meetup is not a retreat. It is literally a meetup. Dawn and I are not going to make arrangements for catering. We are not going to have registration. We're not going to take drink orders or make your hotel reservations for you. We just want to get together and knit with you. However, there's one thing we need to do before we make this a done deal, and that is to ask you to participate in a survey. The link is right here in our show notes. Click on that link. We need to have some idea of how many people to expect to make sure that not only we have enough rooms reserved, because the hotel is going to give us a block of rooms at a discounted price, but so that we can see if it's even feasible to rent that conference hotel room. And that is an expense. So if we don't get feedback, or if we find that many people can't make it, we just won't do it. It's not a big deal. But the one thing I can tell you, it is scheduled for July 30th, which is a Friday, and 31st in Chicago, which is the Chicago Yarn Crawl weekend. Just a little bit of honey on top of that to sweeten your biscuits. So think it over. If you're interested, please complete the survey honestly. We really don't want a lot of maybes or what ifs, not really sure. We kind of need definitive answers so that we can make sure we're prepared. And we'll announce in probably a couple of episodes whether that's a go or not. Dawn, did I forget anything in that area?
Oh, well, Saturday we're going to knit till midnight. So if you're going to spend the night, you may want to get a hotel night for Saturday night too.
And by the way, we're going to start knitting at 5 a.m. on Saturday. So those of you who are early risers, we'll meet you in the conference room at 5 a.m. And if you still want to stay in your jammies, we don't really care. And we aren't sure exactly of when we will start on Friday afternoon because it's going to be related to the availability of that conference room. So please, those of you who are interested, fill out that survey and we'll see what we can do.
I'm going to
Did
go.
I forget anything?
No, I'm going to go.
Oh, you're going to go? Okay, thank you for your RSVP. Jeez,
Nope,
Louise. Hey, can I room with you? Do you mind?
Oh, absolutely. That's fine.
Okay. Yeah. Now, we cannot end an episode without what would Nikki say?
Oh.
Because you all, oh, yes. Dawn, do you have a question?
We forgot what we're learning.
Oh, you are so brilliant. I'm going to make you the secretary. What are you learning about knitting?
Nothing profound this week, like chocolate last week. You know how there's that some kids movie about squirrel, you know, every time you see a squirrel, you look and do something different. I am having a little trouble focusing right now. I need to finish these projects and nothing big, right? I don't have a big Stephen West shawl on my needle or anything, but I have like 10 things I want to do. So my mind wanders to what do I want to cast on next? And even though that's a good plan, I'm spending way too much time in my head about imaginary knitting when I should be doing focus knitting. So I just need to focus and get a few things done. Yeah, so for me, I don't know, I'm just kind of not focused and I need to be. So
do you remember last night in Knitting with the Aunties, Nikki was saying her students were squirrely?
yeah.
It's spring, a breath of fresh air. We're getting lots of new patterns in Ravelry. I can see why.
Yeah.
And for the record, when we share during our virtual events and we take notes of all the things people mention, that doesn't help because we've had some beautiful fibers mentioned.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Yep. So what have you been learning?
Well, this week I am learning about one, I think, of the positive aspects of being monogamous. You do get to see a project finished. And that alliteration scarf is a perfect example. It's been on the needles, I think, almost a year.
Oh, wow.
And yet, because of our schedule, I was able to focus on it. And here we are. I have a finished project. And the second thing I learned is that when you're when you are altering a pattern, it might behoove you to number one, take notes and jot down your decisions. And number two, think ahead so that you don't Kitchener yourself into a corner.
Literally.
Because, yeah, literally.
Oh, that's funny.
Whoa! Oh, and number three, for those of us with aging eyes and who participate in knitting with the aunties, it is not wise nor efficient to Kitchener while you are chatting with black yarn, because I had to frog a little bit of Kitchener last night. So I did learn several things this week. And for those of you who are new knitters, really, you are going to learn little tidbits like this all along the way.
Yep.
It's all part of the learning process. And as Dawn and I have said over and over, learning is messy and it takes time. And so when I cast on my new alliteration, I am going to take notes about what I do and try to think ahead.
And I think of that alliteration and what a great use for scrap yarn. Because if you're not interested in doing those big scrap blankets like a granny stripe or a corner to corner or mitered squares, those are huge projects that take an amazing amount of time. Now they use an amazing amount of yarn, which is nice. But I think that's not grab and go knitting, especially when the blankets get so large. So I think an alliteration scarf or a smaller scrappy project is a great use of not only your time, but also your scraps or bits and bobs. So
Yeah, I agree. And it's going to morph over the upcoming years because someone has given me so much bits and bobs that I'm going to have the opportunity to have 10 different iterations on this pattern. So
uh,
anyway, speaking of always learning and taking notes and making sure we think ahead, we know no one who does that better than our dear sister, faithful Nikki. And we'd like to leave you today with her words of wisdom and encouragement. This week, she says, after a tough day at work, do what makes you happy and content, whether it's knitting or golfing. This way, you can end the day with a smile and peace.
yeah, wow.
Isn't that true?
That is so true.
Thank you, sis, for your words of encouragement. And with that, Dawn and I want to wish you a week that is just full of a sweet twist of the frivolous and frugal. And until episode 56, enjoy your knitting.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye.